What's up, guys? Welcome back to Zilla MMA. I am your host, as always, the Zilla. Want to start, as I always do, by thanking you, the viewers, for watching these videos. It really means a lot to me. So please go like and subscribe if you like the video. The subscribers really help, keep the channel going and progress and do greater things. So gaining more subscribers would be great. Really appreciate all of you who are watching the videos. In this video, we're going to do a breakdown of this weekend's UFC fight night, which was Almeida versus Derek Lewis. Obviously, have the big UFC 295 coming up this weekend, so look out later this week for the recap of or the breakdown of that card. So we'll go ahead and get into this. I think based on my thumbnail, you can probably tell how I felt, at least about the main event, but really it's the way I felt about this card generally. I didn't like it. Didn't think it was a great card. I know there's kind of a split between people on what they thought about both this main event and the card as a whole. Wasn't for me. We did okay on some of our betting. Hit our flex play for prize picks. Shout out prize picks. Had a couple good plays on that. Had one that we missed on there, which was the Bonfim fight. Had that under 6.5 minutes. That did go over, ending about 4 minutes into the second round. So missed on that one, hit on two of the others, and then we'll get into the other things that we missed on, which are unfortunate to say the least. One of them being a no play, the Petrosian fight, which fell off of this card, ended up only being 10 fights on this card because of the weight cut issues and Petrosian getting sick or poisoned or whatever they're saying on Twitter now. And so we end up with these 10 fights. And we got through the fights, I guess. I wasn't thrilled with what I saw on this card. And I decided we'll go from the top this week just because that's the one I have the most to say about. And that was Almeida getting a decision over Derek Lewis. And some people are giving Derek Lewis some fault in this for, I don't know, not working to finish the fight. Obviously, the fight wasn't taking place where he wanted it to take place. Obviously, he didn't land that many shots, didn't do that much in this fight. But I think he made an effort at takedown defense. For some reason, he looked like a jiu-jitsu master on the ground, preventing himself from being finished. That's crazy to me. But I think the real conversation of this card has to be Almeida. I don't see how it can't be. Almeida is this really talked about fighter for everything he did up to this point, and is supposed to be this world beater in the heavyweight division, even though he's this undersized guy coming in here at like 230, fighting Derek Lewis, who had to cut to 265. And what can you say? I mean, Almeida does get him to the ground fairly easily, does what he's trying to do. Struggles with a few of the takedowns. Credit to Derek Lewis for his takedown defense that he was able to implement here. I've never seen a fighter be less effective on the ground. That this is what they're supposed to be known for. This is what they're supposed to be able to do. He gets to the ground, he's able to step right over into mount effortlessly. Derek Lewis does nothing to prevent him from getting to mount. And if for some reason you want to say Derek Lewis should have been an effort to get out of that position, should have been trying to stand up to give up his neck and turn, and I just don't see it that way. I see if you're a fighter in mount, you have opportunities to finish the fight, whether by submission, whether by ground and pound. He stood up in mount. He was able to stand up. He could have started raining down from mount. And he's having to be encouraged by the ref to do something so he doesn't have to stand him up from mount. I don't think I've ever seen that before, not that I can remember in my recent memory. But it's really disappointing. I thought Almeida was a solid up and coming fighter who was going to be in the mix with these other big up and coming heavyweights coming into this fight. I don't know if I feel that way anymore. And I don't know how much more I want to see of him in main events like this. This is supposed to be the big showcase fight for him. And I was bored to tears. He is as I've stated and normally it's a little bit of hyperbole in these thumbnails, but I don't think it so much is in this one. Almeida may be my least favorite fighter on the roster right now. I mean, that fight was just surreally boring. And again, you can fault Derek Lewis, but you have Almeida looking at the ref because Derek Lewis is grabbing his gloves and he's being told, "Don't look at me, fight." I've I don't know. I don't even know how to put it into words how disappointing that is from him. But he goes out there, he gets the easy win, he wins every round. Derek Lewis is pretty much kept ineffective in this fight, and I understand being cautious from Almeida's point of view, not wanting to let Derek Lewis land the big shot. But once you have him in your territory, where you have him exactly where you want to get him, where you have these opportunities to go get a finish, the fact that you didn't even really come that close, it's got to be at the very least concerning. And I don't think, based on what I saw here, hopefully this is just a one-off for him, but from what I saw here, he does not contend with that top echelon of heavyweights that are emerging now. He's not in that conversation, in my opinion. But we'll see going forward. But I think that's enough on that. That's probably the thing I want to talk about most in this card. Dalby gets the big upset victory in the co-main. Good for him. I thought Bonfim looked like the better fighter for most of the fight. I honestly think Bonfim might have been a little surprised that he wasn't able to get Dalby out of there. He landed some big shots, had his opportunities in this fight, just couldn't get it done. And by the time that Dalby really starts raining down on him, he's tired. You could see, and a lot of people are calling this a fraud check on the Bonfims. I don't see it that way. I think these guys just need to. I preached on this before in my breakdown of this card. They're just not very measured. They're so talented. They're really talented fighters, but they just get a little reckless. They're going out there. They're trying to get the finish, which is a great thing to see. Obviously, I can't criticize that after everything I just said about Almeida in his fight. But it's unfortunate that he wasn't able to get him out of there in this spot, and I was pretty confident he was going to be able to. But good for Dalby. I don't have anything against him. Good for him to go get this finish. He earned it. He deserves it. Stayed in there, took the shots, and got the job done. So good for him. On to the next one. Heavyweight matchup. Didn't go exactly how people thought it was going to go. No finish here. A lot of it took place on the feet. Nascimento comes out on top in this spot over Dontel Mays. Then we get down to Kaio in his spot. I thought he looked pretty good in this fight. Took place more on the feet than I thought it was going to. Thought he'd be using a little more wrestling than he did, but he got the job done. We did anticipate that this would be a long, stretched out fight like this. I really thought more of it would be on the ground. He did use that late, looking to take advantage of the fact that he felt that he had the better gas tank. I think if that was the plan coming in, he executed it well. But we did have the over 11 and a half minutes in that fight on our prize picks, so that is one of the legs that hit for us. So very, very nice to see there, and good for him. Crazy call out with Duplessis here. That didn't make any sense at all. I wish he'd called out someone that he actually could potentially fight. Obviously, if you are paying attention, the Duplessis announcement, his fight against Strickland announced today in January. So obviously, I'm a big Duplessis backer. I'm really looking forward to that one. Love Strickland too, but that's just the fight that I'm most looking forward to as of right now in the near future. Then we go down. Good knockout for Brenner in this spot, coming up against the fighter in short notice. So, not too much to say about that fight. It doesn't show too much about him, but good for him to get the knockout in this spot. The Zaleski fight, obviously we had Rinat under on his takedowns on our prize picks card. As we predicted, he had some trouble landing those takedowns. This turned out good for us. Zaleski able to pull off the 10-8 in the third round, come back and get the draw in this fight. Rare occasion where I actually thought it was a draw. A lot of the time they give these draws and it's just, it feels like an excuse for these judges, so a way out for them. But I actually thought there's a good argument this was legitimately a draw here. Really big knockout for Petrino in his fight. That was cool to see. And finally, on the right side of an Angela Hill fight. Obviously, I said in my breakdowns, I struggled to predict with her, but she did a good job closing the distance and staying close and not allowing Gomez to execute her game plan. So very good for Angela Hill here. She showed herself as a well-rounded MMA fighter, which good for her. She's developed so much in her time in the UFC, so I can really appreciate that. Mora obviously looked dominant. She's just so big. She is so big for this weight class. She might have a future here, so good to see that for her. And then no real reason even to talk about that first fight. We were on Fernandez, and we had the concern that DeCasey was going to lay and pray, and that is how it turned out. He ends up getting the split decision by laying on top of Fernandez. Disappointing for us. I actually do agree with the fact that it goes to DeCasey. Fernandez not able to execute that much, unfortunately for us. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. Overall, kind of a boring card in my opinion, but rather have boring fights than no fights. So we'll move on to the next week. But like I said, next couple days, look out for my prediction video for UFC 295 coming up this weekend. Very excited about that one. Some good fights to break down there. But really appreciate all you guys watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. And until next time, guys, see ya.